Good evening. It is Friday, November the 4th, almost 6 o'clock p.m. This is meteorologist Shay Gibson with iKitesurf, bringing you a personal forecast for the Wind Sports for Wounded Warriors event going on in Tampa Bay now, today through Sunday. This goes out to Bernie Sabo, Nathan Cruz, and all the folks, wonderful folks that are hosting the Wind Sports for Wounded Warriors project up that way. If I missed your name, please don't be mad. I haven't gotten the list of everyone that's a part of that. But the vets as well, I wish you guys the best. I saw some pictures today from Bernie and it looked like you guys were having a good time up there. And there's a little bit of wind, enough to get the kite in the air to do some practicing with. So that's a good thing. And that's what we're going to be talking about today is the forecast for the next couple of days for the Tampa area. Let me put myself down here in the corner. As you can see, we have on the visible satellite a few clouds and a few scattered light showers pushing across the Florida Peninsula and all the way over towards Tampa Bay and the Tarpon Springs area. So a lot of this is being driven by an area in the Atlantic being designated as a 40% chance for tropical or subtropical development by the NHC. This is going to be a slow mover. It's very slow to develop. Maybe next week it might slide over towards Florida, but right now it's not really looking very organized at all. But you can see the clouding and the troughing from high pressure to the north. So if you could just imagine high pressure with clockwise motion pushing this area of troughing and showers, it's basically just Atlantic moisture over a warm body of water. We have the Gulf Stream, which kind of goes down here all the way down towards Miami. And then we get that moisture build down over the Atlantic. And then what happens is we get that pushing over all the way over into Florida as well. So this is like your classic sort of east-northeast wedge pushing down across the area that becomes a little bit more east over Florida. As we look at the WPC surface map, I'm just going to kind of take us out. Let me back up to Saturday morning. So we see the isobars here, the 1028, 1024, 1020. What these mean is these are just areas of pressure. They're not isotachs, which are wind, but these are just areas of pressure. The closer these are together, the stronger the winds are going to be. So if we had another isobar in between here, we know that the gradient would be pretty, be moderate to strong and within that wind field. But as we get down into Florida, we see rather light winds, modest winds. We're getting into the 8 to 12 knot ranges, maybe 13, 14 at times, and then it kind of bleeds off at the end of the day. And so this just really leaves kind of a modest gradient across the Florida area. As we go into the day Saturday, we see that spreads a little bit. This area of troughing becomes a little bit more prominent, which means maybe a few more showers will be kicking across the coast of Florida and all the way over to the Gulf Coast. The isobars get a little farther away, so the winds are going to be looking lighter and lighter for tomorrow. But as we get into Sunday, let's go ahead and take a look. I'll go over the wind speeds in just a minute. As we go into Saturday afternoon, and into Sunday, we see there's a little bit of a reinforcement to the high pressure, and the gradient increases again. So it could be similar to today's winds on Sunday, if not maybe a tad stronger before letting out towards the end of the day. So if we look at, I'm just going to pick the Dunedin Causeway. Bernie's very, very familiar with that one. We could actually just pick Point Alexis as a forecast point as we get into Saturday. We see these east northeast winds, starting rather light in the 5 to 9 knot ranges, and then picking up the Wolf Wharf is the purple one. So we'll go ahead and run all the available models here. And if you use iKitesurf, this is the same user, pretty much the same user features as what you're seeing here. But we see a lot of the models really just kind of holding winds light, 5 to 9 knots for most of the day. The Wolf Wharf, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, goes up to about 10 knots between 11 a.m. and maybe 2 p.m. and then falls off and holds an east pattern. So maybe not the most agreement in the directions, but I think it would be similar to something like today where we turn a little bit more north by the end of the day as the winds lighten up. As we get into Sunday, though, looks like we have a stronger gradient to deal with on Sunday. Overall, the HRRR holding on the lowest ends for the 4 to 8 knots, but I still think we're going to get a slightly higher gradient based on the troughing that we're seeing offshore. So if we go back and look at, where was that at? This right here, the GFS. In fact, we'll just take a look at the GFS here. You can see the isobars really kind of lining up across the area. And then as we look really down into the winds, we drill into the 10-meter wind speed. And this is in miles per hour, by the way. We see as we get into Saturday morning, let's go back to Friday, and we get into Saturday morning, we see that gradient's really light. If you look down here over Florida, I'll just circle the area right in this area. You can watch the wind speeds with the GFS. Now the GFS is a little bit more normalized. We're saying about 10 knots for the GFS across that area by tomorrow afternoon, and then lightening up at the end of the day. As we get into Sunday morning, we see the gradient coming up a little stronger. So you're seeing 12, 13 knots across the area as we get into late morning, early afternoon, and then bleeding off later in the day. So maybe a period of about 4 or 5 hours there would be favorable winds in the 10 to 14 knot ranges. And so that's going to be my call for Sunday. Saturday, I think is going to be your lightest wind day of all. And I'd recommend just saying, hey, might think of something else to do, maybe the e-foiling or something like that to get into for tomorrow. But it looks like the rain possibilities increased a little bit. They're about 13 to 17% for tomorrow. And then the rain possibilities on Sunday are right around 20%. So you start to get a little bit more favorable towards a little more precipitation cutting across the state by that time. If we look at the sea surface temperatures, pretty comfortable out there, about 79 degrees. Let me see if I can find the weather station that has that information. Just a second. I just had it. Here we go. So yeah, 79 degrees for this area. And that goes for Anclote Key and the Tarpon Springs area. So with the east winds, of course, you'd probably, and I know Bernie's aware, probably need to get out to Anclote just to catch that east fetch, because if you're closer to land, you're going to be wind shadowed out. And I'm sure you guys are very much aware of that. So that's going to be a wrap for the forecast for today. Um, that's pretty much what I'm seeing. Light wind tomorrow, a little stronger, maybe similar to today's winds on Sunday. And that's the best that we can do for that area. If you were a little bit farther up the East Coast on our side, you'd have a little more winds to deal with. But that'll be it for the forecast. So wish you guys the best. I hope everybody has a good time no matter what you're doing on the water. Have a good time and enjoy the camaraderie and the drinks and the food and everything that goes along with it. So thanks a lot, Bernie and team. And Nathan and everyone for helping put this together and launching it again. It's been a long time since COVID, and I know we got some work to do in Charleston next year too. So hopefully we'll all be doing them next year. Other than that, everybody have a good rest of your evening and night. Have a good time tonight. Be careful. Careful on the water tomorrow and on Sunday, whatever you're doing. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.